Insurance penetration in Nigeria, when you talk about the different facets of it, vehicular, health, and the likes, what can be done to boost this and improve these things? Insurance penetration in Nigeria, less than 1%. How do we boost that figure? Is it on the private sector players in the insurance sector, or is it on the government to make it a more enabling environment? How do we get past that hurdle? There's a whole lot of questions that need to be answered there. Olufunmilayo Amanwa is Executive Director, Technical and Operations at Leadway Assurance, joins us now to discuss further. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for being with us. In our last segment with the Consul General from Germany, he was telling us how even in Germany, healthcare and insurance and so on, these things are pretty expensive. Affordability is an issue. Our Minister of Finance, Wale Edu, here said that, 5% of Nigerians have 500,000 naira in their accounts. The affordability hurdle, how do you see us scaling that when it comes to insurance access?
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me. To be honest, I'm not sure it's an affordability issue that we're dealing with in the insurance sector. I think it's more of acceptability. And that's because we live in a climate where insurance is considered to be at the bottom of the pyramid. And so the importance that is supposed to be attributed to insurance does not exist. And we're struggling within the industry to be able to ensure that, first and foremost, we accept insurance as the importance and as the bread and butter of the economy. Because insurance is supposed to provide some stability with which a business would grow. Now, if you take the basic needs, you take health, you take food, you take education, clothing, housing, all of these are supposed to rest on insurance. So what people are saying, oh, insurance is too expensive, what we basically should be talking about and looking at is how to ensure that insurance is accepted in our climate, Nigerian society. While you have people struggling to have food on the table, they forget that where you have food, you also have to be able to protect whatever happens or whatever peril that may come to place. And that's where agri insurance comes to play. If you're looking at housing, you're looking at education. For housing, for example, what is most important is what level of insurance do you have in case there is a peril or in case there is a risk that happens that crystallizes? Do you have fire insurance? Do you have householder insurance to be able to protect the contents that you have? And so it goes beyond affordability. It's more of, have I accepted and understand the importance that insurance is supposed to protect, whatever assets that I have in place? Because think about it. It's only a premium. The consideration for insurance is only a premium that the client gets to pay. But because you don't accept it, it's difficult to say, I am able to afford or not able to afford. So first and foremost, I think what we should be dealing with is how the populace accept insurance for its importance.
So based on that, if the acceptance was to improve, then the numbers we're seeing with the 1% penetration rate or less than 30% for insurance for vehicles, that would improve. Because they also throw that to you and say, look, why are these numbers so low? You would go there.
Yes, correct. And that's where I would go to. Because once we accept, and to accept, we have to be able to create enough awareness. Yes, we're saying that vehicle insurance, despite the fact that you have regulation to be able to drive it and the regulation makes it mandatory, but because it still has not been accepted, it's not able to gain the traction that it requires. Now, in doing that, it means that there's a lot of education, there's a lot of awareness that we need to bring to the public. A lot of people still think that, the minutest, which is the third-party insurance, that is the one that has been made mandatory, is only required just for police purposes. And they tell you, it's just for let police go. However, the government, in its wisdom, sees that there is a need to be able to protect third-party property damage on the road, third-party life on the road. And that's why they have said third-party insurance is important. So when you have an accident, for example, and life is involved, third-party property damage is involved, we don't have to pull off our shirts and start to fight. We don't have to, put up our boxing gloves and start to make a lot of noise and create a lot of drama. What we need to do is just take that certificate from the person and basically take it to your insurance company. So there's a lot of awareness that we need to bring to play for third party to even gain the importance that it requires. Beyond that, there's a lot of collaboration that needs to happen. So as we're creating awareness, we're collaborating also with community leaders, we're collaborating with consumers, we're collaborating even in schools. A lot of education needs to happen, not just in university, right from primary school. And that's why you find Leadway as a company has a lot of youth marketing engagement. And that's basically because we understand that catch them young and start to teach them from that tender age to understand the importance of insurance. In schools, we're taught economics, we're taught commerce. We should also have insurance incorporated into the curriculum so people basically understand. And then from young, we're beginning to let them understand the importance and how valuable insurance is, because insurance is what can provide economic stability. And so while we're doing this and while we're doing a lot of this collaboration, insurance operators also have a duty to ensure that the process is seamless. So when basically people understand that, if I have to purchase insurance, it's not a nightmare. We use technology to drive, the seamless process right from the onboarding process up to the point where the client has a claim, and approach you. We have to make sure that technology is in place to make that process seamless. We have to simplify our policy wordings. And to be able to do this, not just because a lot of our insurance contracts have a lot of insurance jargon, because it's a legal contract. But then we as operators have that responsibility to ensure that it's simplified English. And that's why in Leadway today, if we issue you a contract document, we have your summary, which is insurance at a glance. So it basically simplifies whatever it is on the 5-6 page document. And all of that now creates some level of confidence. When a company is also financially stable and you have a claim and you don't have to go through rigors of finding out, oh, my claim has not been paid, they're not settling it. If the company is financially stable, and that confidence is there that they're able to fulfill their claim obligation when it crystallizes, we begin to create a lot of confidence, boost confidence of the insuring public. And in so doing, we begin to see that penetration level increase. And we can also not do this without technology basically right now is the bedrock on which every successful business will lie on. And so that also has technology come into place. Technology in the short, from the point where a claim is notified all through that journey, we have to make sure that the customer experience journey is a field that the client would always look forward to. And once we have all those things put in place, we begin to see that penetration increase. We continue to see a stability in the economy, because you cannot have purchase assets of such high value, whether it's high, whether it's low, but you put in a lot to have these assets in place. And so eventualities will happen, even though, in our client today, it's almost like, oh, yeah, it's not my portion. God forbid, it wouldn't happen to me. That's the mindset that we have. But eventualities happen, risk happen. That's why insurance needs to come in place to bridge that gap of loss that we have.
So I think you folks, Leadway has done about 300 billion naira in claims. You've mentioned claims over the last 5 or 6 years or so. I want you to marry that with the importance of trust to the insurance sector. So we can talk about trust and then how you, as a company, has fulfilled that trust in, meeting claims as they come due.
Yeah. So insurance is a long-term relationship, and that only happens when you have trust in place. Right now, in our client, we have a lot of mistrust about insurance. The mindset is they just take my premiums, I just pay them, and nothing happens. Yes, Leadway, continues to lead the forefront. In 2023 alone, out of a revenue of 177 billion, we paid 70.4 billion out of that in claims. So that means that in Leadway, trust is something that we take real. And so we do this by continuing to ensure happiness in our customers, in the public. Now, to do this, you have to ensure that the business that you run is able to fulfill its obligation. Put your money where your mouth is. And that's what Leadway has done in terms of claims payout. In Leadway today, if you walk into Leadway today, the lifeline of a regular Leadway staff is our I-score. That's our vision. The acronym I-score stands for integrity, It stands for service, it stands for customer centricity, it stands for openness, respect for individual, and excellence. Now, these are the core values that we hold in Leadway because we understand the importance of trust in this long-term relationship that we're building with our customers. And so in doing that and in ensuring that trust is in place in fulfillment of our claims obligation, we have now used technology to also drive that. And so you have a lot of our processes and our claims processes all digitalized. We have claims process from onboarding up to settlement on a technology-driven basis. If you have a loss, for example, today, and you come to Leadway and you notify us of the loss, we have a claims registration process that is driven by a chatbot. So immediately it registers this, and in minutes, you have your claim reference, and we give you personalized service by continuing to communicate with you, on social media through whichever technological means that you want to be able to give you updates on your claim. And then that transparency creates that kind of confidence that the clients and the customers would actually appreciate. Beyond that, we have a robust claims automation process. We have a specialized and a dedicated claims team. Now, what they do is to bring in their experience to basically understand the need and the loss that this client has experienced. And in doing that, we put ourselves, the regular Leadway staff, we put ourselves in the customer's shoe. We feel what the client feels. And in doing that, and all of these processes that have been put in place is what continues to put us in the forefront in terms of our claims payment and how we do our business.
Fantastic. So you take that, you take all the other insurance players in the sector, and you look at the aspirations of this administration to get to a $1 trillion economy by 2030. What kind of role do you think the insurance sector will play in getting there?
Yeah. So when you have a target, a hope renewed target, like our president calls it, and it's a $1 trillion economy goal, you cannot but have insurance as the bedrock of it. And what insurance does is to basically create a risk mitigation process. Now, what do I mean? In all of this economy and in all of the plans that our president wants to execute, he has said that there are infrastructures that will be built and that will be put in place. Now, these infrastructures, whether we like it or not, will be subjected, some of it will be subjected to certain perils and certain risks. And that's where insurance comes in. We cannot have infrastructure cost millions and millions of dollars, and yet you don't have insurance to be able to mitigate whatever risk that happens. So you have insurance as the bedrock for it. Now, Mr. President has also said that part of what would also be made available is to ensure that there is access of capital to small and medium-sized businesses. Now, if I deploy capital to you, and that capital is used to invest in business, is used to buy assets for the business, you also need to have insurance in place to ensure that those assets are protected. And so when that happens also, the insurance sector comes to play. Another area where the insurance sector will come to play here is in terms of facilitating trade and business. Now, how do we do that? We have marine insurance to be able to ensure that cross-border transactions are protected. We have trade credit so that when, these assets, these capitals are given out to the citizenry, you have insurance that backs it up. And so at the end of the day, in doing this, we're seeing to the fact that there's confidence restored in the people. We have health insurance coming to play. We have different types of insurance. So insurance basically sits as the cornerstone to the goal that Mr. President has in place. And that is where we cannot but have insurance grow in a sector, which is also the reason why you would have different regulatory provisions coming into play. Compulsory health insurance, compulsory insurances. All of it is because the economy also realizes the importance and how an economy cannot strive without insurance.
One more question for you. How do you see the growth of the industry going forward? You have to tie it back to our first question about the low penetration rate. So I guess, are you optimistic that you see growth in the insurance sector going forward?
Yes, because what we see now is a lot of collaboration with insurtechs. So there's a lot of technologically driven models. You have online platforms now, you have mobile payments. So I see a lot of this coming to play. And in the next 5 years, as we continue to use technology to drive our business and to provide the confidence and the renewed hope that citizens have, I see that penetration deepening. But then a lot of work and a lot of things that we're doing now, we have to just continue, to build a lot of emphasis around it. InsurTech, now you going back to, back to the grassroots. You have financial inclusiveness, and insurance is providing that through microinsurance. Because now we have microinsurance that provides very, very basic insurance cover at very minimal prices. We have premiums as low as 100 naira. And that is what insurance is doing. So microinsurance, through a lot of marketing that brokers, agents are doing, is going back to the grassroots to basically provide insurance. So insurance basically is not just for urban areas or for you and I who are here to understand it. It's also going back to the basics and to provide the minutest of insurance, to cater for the needs and the assets of everyone around the sector.
Fantastic, fantastic. Hey, look, we'll bring you back. As the numbers come in, we'll have to bring you back to talk more about this. Insurance is incredibly vital. Thank you so much for your time. Olufunmilayo Amanwa, who is Executive Director, Technical and Operations at Leadway Assurance. Thank you so much.